Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to a new episode where we're going to talk about bridging the AI business gap. It's Pio Marolla here, CEO of ThinkLinkers, and I want to welcome all of you from the wonderful city of Yerevan in Armenia. So to begin with, where are you coming from? Every single episode I was telling you how sunny it was and warm it was, but finally winter is approaching here as well. And to begin with, let's talk about the topic of today, bridging the AI business gap. Look, it's quite clear that there is an enormous amount of money being spent right now on artificial intelligence initiatives. We're talking about like 180 billion US dollars or something like that. And the failure rate is about 80%. Doesn't take a mathematician to understand there's been an enormous waste of resources in initiatives that didn't deliver on the initial promises. So this is very much what we're going to discuss today. Understand a bit why so many initiatives fail. What's the problem? Is it a technical problem? And we'll understand also about how to make sure that this number changes, that it doesn't remain at 80% failure rate. It is indeed quite, incredible. We have seen how the whole industry and every boardroom started discussing the imperative of becoming AI-driven, and yet so many industries, so many organizations are failing to get any benefit out of it. Why is that so? Now let's see who is here in the comments with us, and we have Natalia, as always. Great to see you, Natalia. I guess it's cold too in Prague. And Natalia, of course, who has been running a wonderful 10th Data Management Think Club recently in Prague. It was our anniversary, and she's done an incredible job at keeping the atmosphere going, and also meeting with all the amazing data management professionals that came to Prague to learn more about how to make sure companies can unlock the value of data in their organization. So the guest of today, as a matter of fact, is a partner of the 10th Data Management Think Club. They've been with us in Prague. We're talking about the organization Mindfuel. And specifically, we have Robert Keil, who will be with us and talk about his experience, share some of the tips and what he has seen in the industry, about why so many organizations end up as a failure, and perhaps bringing up also some examples of successful initiatives in artificial intelligence. So without any further ado, let's welcome on stage Robert Keil. Hi, Robert. How are you?
Hi, Pio. Very good. Thanks a lot for having me. Hi to everyone. How are you doing?
Very good. Doing perfectly. And I'm excited to have you here and talk about AI and the business gap, of course. So to begin with, for the people that don't know you yet, tell us something about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Robert. I'm dialing in right now from Munich, where I'm living. I'm part of Mindfuel, leading our consulting arm, which is called the Mindfuel Studio. And while we overall at Mindfuel are focusing on the key problem that you're mentioning, creating value from data and AI, we are doing that in several consulting projects with our clients, insurance, automotive, going in and seeing, hey, what's the business problem you have and how can we create value with data and AI in it?
Very good. So you must have seen your fair share of stories and the companies trying to embark on AI initiatives. But let us get right into it, because the numbers are really staggering, right? And the numbers don't lie. We're talking about enormous investment in artificial intelligence, but disappointing results. So why is that so?
So I think, first of all, we can answer that, in our opinion, it is not a technical problem. So we see a lot of things happening, a lot of evolution happening on the technical side in the past years, of course, most prominently with Gen AI. But we think it's more on the organizational and process side of things. And mainly I would name 2 reasons. First is that it's not looked at the why we do a certain thing, so that we don't look good enough at the business problems. And second, I think it's an ownership kind of problem, that the ownership also for the change that we needs to be a little bit more in the business, so that in the end the technical solutions are really applied by those that have the problem in the business process.
Okay, well, I think that the why versus how issue is something that we have seen over and over also in the data management sphere, isn't it? So much concentration on the technical side and not so much about why are we even doing it, right?
Yes.
So this is just repeating in AI as well, isn't it?
Yes, correctly. So that's exactly the thing. It's we have great tools here. We have really great tools that are advancing every year. But in many discussions, also when we go to clients, the first point is, hey, how can we use this tool? What can we do with Gen AI? And then we search for a use case that fits to this technology or to this particular tool. And in the end, this cannot work. And also, I think now with all organizations building up Gen AI teams, that's of course a very promising technology. But also here we will see that many of the things that are being developed right now will end up as nice prototypes. So we once had a head of AI from a large DAX company, and he said we have more pilots, more pilot projects than the German Lufthansa, because this is still one of the most prominent approaches. And instead we would say it's great that we have these tools, but rather really understand what your business needs, what your business says, and then we see which of the tools is the right one. Is it this hammer or this shovel or anything else? And maybe something very simple like a dashboard that solves the problem.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about tool is, of course, when ChatGPT came out, a lot of noise happened on the market. And I still think that many organizations thought that that's the totality of AI, let's say. And because it looks like, it gives an answer in a few seconds and so on, this magic is what draw a lot of attention to it. So I think that there is a bit of an issue also in the business side, not being clear about what AI really is, because, ChatGPT is just an LLM. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I think it's great. It of course allows many great use cases, Gen AI, but it's also limited. It's not the answer to all the business problems. It's those business problems where text generation is important, of course. Maybe image generation is important, and where we can engage in a conversational discussion with a machine. But that's not all of the use cases that we have out there, especially when it's about quantitative use cases, prediction of certain things to happen in the future. There it's still open how Gen AI or LLMs can really help us. So it's not the answer to everything.
Yeah. And I also feel that AI is quite a divisive topic, a polarizing topic, right? From one side, of course, there are organizations that are and professionals that are extremely enthusiastic about it. On the other, of course, there are plenty of reasonable, let's say, questions and concerns related to risks connected to artificial intelligence. And I'm thinking, about data privacy. I'm thinking about IP and so on and so forth. Do you think that this also acts as an obstacle or a hurdle in terms of, embracing and starting artificial intelligence projects?
Yes, it is. It is an obstacle. I mean, especially in Europe, we have very strict but also very important data privacy and data security rules. But I wouldn't say that this is the reason that overall the technology is, let's say, blocked or hindered. So there are many other things that we can still do out of customer or personal information. So yes, we are not as liberal as, for example, the United States in this, but we still can do a lot of things. No, I wouldn't say it shouldn't block us.
Yeah, well, I wanted to take a moment to just welcome Brian and Michael from Germany and from Copenhagen in Denmark. And of course, I welcome all of you to ask questions during this session, because it's the questions that you ask that make the conversation even more interesting. So you're all welcome and free to ask questions at any time. We will try to take all of them live. Moving on, of course, getting started is often the difficult thing, right? There is this interest and there is this enthusiasm about, and there's also this push sometimes from investors to become AI driven, right? What's the number one thing that organizations need to do when they start an AI initiative?
The number one thing to start with when you want to create value from AI is not looking at the technology you want to use, but it's looking at the business opportunities that you see that you want to realize. And that starts by understanding, together with your business and your management, where you're overall heading as an organization. So what's your overall strategy? Are you in a market that is growing? Do you want to enter new countries? Do you want to bring new products to the market? Or are you in a market where that actually is shrinking, and where you need to see that you reduce costs in order to survive this market situation? And based on which situation you're in, you should think about what are really the opportunities that I have here. So, for example, one of our clients is more in the shrinking markets. They are operating many different manufacturing machines, and they said very clearly, no, all this next best offer and marketing and all these our customer service agent, that's all not relevant for us. For us, it's really about efficiency in our day-to-day production. So there we go on and we think about the opportunities that they have in the production line by using data there, reducing waste, writing them down, all the ideas that they have. And then after we have this list of opportunities, we think about what's the right technology. And in this example, for example, Gen AI didn't play a role because it was not relevant for the overall organization in the situation that they are in. And we think every organization should start with that instead of trying to find the right use cases for our technology.
Yeah, I feel sometimes it's like reverse engineering, it's like, how do we become AI driven and have an AI strategy rather than to have a solid business strategy and then see how AI can help, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And there also we on purpose don't talk about this term use cases because we often see when organizations start, they write down a list of use cases, and when you go through them, we see that they are often named like a next best offer recommendation engine for our sales team, or it is called a conversational agent in customer support. And there often you have the kind of the business problem and the technical solution already combined together in one, what we all call use case. But in the end, or the risk of this is that you lose the goal that you really want to reach. So we rather recommend to say, hey, the opportunity is, for example, we reduce the waiting time of our clients in our hotline, or our opportunities, we increase the conversion ratio on our website, or we increase the acceptance ratio for our marketing campaigns. And then the solution is the next step after we have clearly defined what is actually the goal. And it might be a conversational agent, it might be a next best offer recommendation engine, whatever, but it's the second step, not the first.
Very good. Help us build a bit of a roadmap. So what's next? What should organizations do?
Mm-hmm. So let us now imagine you sit down, or you have sat down with your business, and you have now this list of opportunities, through technology. You might have prioritized it. You might have calculated a business case, which we always recommend. So the earlier you can put a certain monetary value behind things, the better. And once you have that, you can think about the technology. So what are now the components that I need to realize these opportunities? And here we, and that's, I think, a general development in the field, are talking very much about so-called data products or data and AI products. because what has been done in the past was for every idea, develop one solution, one use case, and for the next idea, develop the next one without having reusable components. Instead, we say you should reuse technical components and market them as products. I can go deeper, give an example from the logistics industry if you want to. So there we looked at a customer data and what we can do with it. And then there, for example, the opportunities, hey, I can reduce the average communication time in my contact service if I have the data from my customer already available, maybe with some recommended actions I can give to them. And maybe I can increase conversion ratio by having the next best offer engine then in the end. And when you write them down, you realize, hey, I have several ideas where I need a conversational agent. Maybe I have several ideas where I need to see the delivery data of customers. I have several ideas where I need the customer master data. And because I need to reuse all these components, I define them as products, put them on a roadmap, and reuse them continuously instead of having just isolated use cases one by one.
Excellent. We have a good question here from Michael. When is the data quality good enough for the use in AI? Must it be perfect or?
Mm-hmm. So it depends very much on the use case you're in, right? And which technology you're using. So the good thing about Gen AI, for example, is that it is able to cope with unstructured data, with low quality data, and somehow get meaning out of that. But I think if you, for example, talk about marketing, what happens there when the model based on wrong data gives the wrong recommendation? A person gets maybe an advertisement that they don't need so much. That's not too bad. So here I would say you can go with poor data. If we are in highly critical infrastructure or environments, or some models that you use to operate planes or to operate automotives, then I'd say the accuracy of the algorithm must be really, really good, and so it has to be the data.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question because often, it is clear that data is fundamental, right, for AI adoption and everything else. But sometimes it can kind of act as an obstacle, right? Because to do an MDM project before you need to start to AI, by that time probably there are already new solutions, and AI is moving forward. So it's interesting to determine, when are you ready? Is the data coming first and the AI coming second? Can the AI itself help, straightening up the data, so to speak? What do you think about that in general lines?
Yeah. So I would even say first comes the opportunity before AI or the data. First, we need to know what we want to reach, or which problem we want to solve. And once you have that, I'd say next comes the solution. So maybe it is an A model that you need. And then you're in the situation of defining requirements for the data that you need. So for example, in this initiative I talked about, when we defined that we want to reduce waiting time in the customer support, we could say, okay, we need good customer data, and we need to understand what was delivered to which customer at which point in time. And that then triggered initiatives to improve data quality. I'm not so much a fan of this, let's say, 10-year-old mindset. We want to create great data with everything. And then we see what optimization potential we have. And then we find correlations in all of this high qualitative data. And then we create a lot of value with it. I'm much more a fan of this hypothesis-driven approach, knowing what we want to do, defining that, and then making the data available in the right quality, because it's much more cost efficient, and it will lead to much more commitment and willingness to provide good quality data by the business departments.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a long project without an objective, something, I mean, it's money that no one wants to spend, you know?
It's true that it sounds so logical. It sounds really like a no-brainer, but I think many organizations have acted like that in the past years, spending very, very much money on data platforms that cost millions of subscription fees and storage and compute to provide very high quality data across all different types of fields that in the end was never really used. And I think especially in times where the economic situation is difficult, we need to be much more cost sensitive. It makes more sense to only provide what we need for the business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Also because then this kind of initiatives get a bad rep, isn't it? I mean, it's just they constantly fail. People start losing trust or interest, whether it is an AI adoption or whether it is an MDM project. I mean, think about MDM as well. It's not like the failure rate is much different from AI adoption. Yeah, we're talking also there about staggering numbers. So
Yes.
yeah, then when things are going bad too much, then they fall out of fashion a little bit. Then the next big thing comes up and steals all the attention. So it's important to have a more pragmatic approach to things and make sure that projects are presented in a manner that the business is ready to take them under their wing, and also to spend the necessary money the necessary money, essentially.
Yeah. You are absolutely right. Also with the reputation of these initiatives, because it is not just technical cost, but it's also much effort in the business departments. Because in the end, the data comes from the business departments, from where marketing is being done, sales, operations, logistics. So the people there need to put effort into providing the right data quality. And if they just provide it for the sake of having nice data, but without knowing what the opportunities at the end of the day, the reputation can get lower.
Who would want to do that? I mean, it's extra work, and it's none of their business until it makes business sense.
Yeah, correct.
We have a question here from Prakash. And by the way, welcome, Prakash. Always happy to see you here with us. So is it safe to use public cloud services, provide them ML tools or model to train using our data? In long term, it looks a threat to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we need to be very, very careful with the data that we provide on public cloud services. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that we should not do it at all or demonize it in some kind of way. It's just, of course, a huge difference whether you have models trained for customer data of your own customer, or some R&D data that might be very sensitive to you, or if you just, I don't know, use climate data or weather data where you want to predict catastrophes in the future with it. Maybe that's a little bit less sensitive. So it depends on.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, being afraid, demonizing something doesn't really help, but we need to be careful with this stuff nevertheless, right? It's something new and it's in its infancy, and just sharing data around and moving that around too much is not a wise approach, let's say.
No.
So we also have a comment here a question here from Veronica. How does Mindfuel helps companies create value exactly?
So we help by helping our clients understand what they want to reach with data. I mentioned the word opportunities a lot, so that's really something we do very much, and both through our consulting services and through the Delight software that we have. And once we have identified these right opportunities, we help in translating that to AI and data products. So that's exactly the process that I mentioned earlier, translating that into reusable pieces of technical artifacts, be it a prediction model or be it a data set that can be reused, like in the data mesh methodology, and helping to manage these in a portfolio in order to create value at the end of the day. And this overall a process we call data product management or data and AI product management.
Okay, very good. And therefore, you can share with us some good news, I guess. Some good stories, something that some of these projects that didn't end up as a failure. Can you give us some examples of companies that successfully adopted AI and gained business value out of it?
Yes, sure. Happy to do so. So I can give one example, for example, from the insurance industry, where there was a team of experts that was really well in dealing with and understanding weather data and also making predictions for the future based on different climate scenarios. So making predictions on where will which catastrophes happen likely, which is an important skill for insurance companies to have. And they also thought about, hey, how can we actually reuse that? Because this information might be also relevant not only for an insurance company, but also for others. So they did not only have this team of experts and data scientists, but they also applied a product management approach to this type of data and these forecasts. And they were able to provide risk scores to other companies outside of the insurance business, so that they understand where will which catastrophes happen, with which likelihood, and how much damage will that also create for me. And accompanying that project, for example, was super interesting, because if you just have this technical team, then in the end, it's difficult to create a product that the users will really need or that the clients will really need. At the other side, if you just have a product team but not really the data expertise, you're not creating really value in the market. So we combined both. We had this product management mindset on this idea, on the data and models that have existed, and we're able to launch this product also in the market together with the client. And I think that's a very good example of how to combine technical expertise and product management expertise. There are other examples, because this example was very much focusing on products that are in the external market. Other examples of data teams that are interpreting their own business departments as clients and providing products to them, the right data sets, the right AI models to be reused. And there we also have many clients whom we accompany, such as, for example, an organization in the construction industry. They have launched their first data products this year, where they made, for example, production data available for everyone in their organization, available through a data catalog with a data product manager behind, and promising always the best quality of this data. So there are successful examples.
Good to know. There's a question here from Natalia. I've read that OpenAI and its competitors are struggling to advance past ChatGPT 4, which is already 2 years old. Do you think progress in LLMs will slow down and the hype will fade with it? Okay, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So I think the hype will go down. I think it's actually not even possible for it to go up anymore, because it's so present everywhere. But I don't necessarily think that it will fade entirely. And also, I think that even if the technology does not advance very much anymore, still the value can advance that we create with it. Because in the very beginning, I said that it's not necessarily about technology why AI projects fail. It's more about that there's not the value created yet. So I think with what we have as of today, has already huge potential what LLMs can do. And if we just identify or understand better what are our business problems, what do our clients complain about when we interact with them, what do our people complain about, our employees when they search for documents. If we give them the right solutions with what we have already in the technology, I think it's fine.
I agree with you. I mean, there is still the 80% of the projects that fail, right? If only they would start not failing, we would already have a lot more value being taken from the technology as is. So I fully agree with you. And what is actually your prediction about this? Do you think that for the upcoming year we will have an already better number? Do you think the investment also will continue to grow? What is your, take?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that the position in which data and AI units are is changing. A lot of money has been invested in the past in them, also in times where it was economically easier. And now there's more and more a need to justify the investments, to prove some value. And with that, we see a shift in that these organizations need to argue the value and think in products and solve real business opportunities. And I think that will lead to less investments, at the same time, more valuable outcomes. So I think the field will overall not go down. And I think the value that these units create will increase because they have to, they are forced to do so.
Yeah, we will reach some kind of maturity phase when companies are starting to look at, starting from the opportunity rather than, being, shocked by the novelty of AI, right? So that
Yeah.
I can absolutely see this happening. Now, as we said, the beginning is probably the hardest stage, right, in AI adoption. Now, who do you think should be the role in the company who should initiate the discussion and should draw this change?
So because it's such a transformative topic, yeah, that can impact entire business models and industries, it's something that has should have a C-level or board level attention. Yeah? So ideally, the CEO should say, "Hey, this is something that's relevant for us," and everybody, let's try how we find it out. But of course, it cannot be the person who will lead it in the end. So the person to really lead it should be a head of AI or a head of data, with, however, a more or a better business understanding than it has been in the past. So these roles have been very technical in the past. Understanding, of course, how data platforms work, how AI frameworks work, but they need to become better at understanding what the business actually needs, and should be able to discuss on eye level with the departments on, for example, how we can improve underwriting process in insurance. As one example.
Yeah, excellent point. Do you think that we need do we need a AI or the CDO does the job?
I think it depends on the current capabilities of the CDO, the Chief Data Officer. So some Chief Data Officers might be able to do that, but others might be too much focusing on compliance and focusing on governance and these kinds of things, so that you need a Chief AI Officer who's closer to the business. So it depends on the organization. It's a little bit how like when Chief Digital Officers were introduced, and the question was, can a Chief Information Officer be a Chief Digital Officer? And the answer is, well, if the Chief Information Officer is able to solve business problems and understand where the company is heading, then they can do it. Otherwise, you need a new one. It's similar for the Chief Data Officer and the Chief AI Officer.
Yeah, that's really the core of the problem, isn't it? Being able to translate technical problems or technical things into business value. If the CDO is able to do that, and I believe I agree with you with your remark that in the past these roles have been unable to make this translation happen. But I think it's a necessity nowadays.
Yes, yeah, it is. It has also a little bit to do with the history of the Chief Data Officer. In the banks and insurance companies were the first ones to introduce that role, often for compliance reasons. So, but a person who is very good at ensuring the compliance and making sure that the data is reliable and all of that doesn't mean that that's the same person that will be able to to drive forward new business initiatives.
Yeah. So like data initiatives as risk avoidance or cost cutting ones rather than business value generating, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, very good. So we have here another question. Can you recommend any tools that could help with data governance or AI and data product management?
Sure. So all this topic that I mentioned with AI and data product management, for that, we have to find our own tool and launch it in the market called Delight. That helps you exactly do what I mentioned, identifying the opportunities and building the products. When it's about data governance, that can help, but of course also other tools are relevant, like data catalogs, for example, helping you storing the most important information of your data. So also here it depends on what exactly you want to do, because I don't think that everybody needs a data catalog. Some do, some don't. And those that really want to create value, they should do AI and data product management, for example, with Delight.
Very good. And as we're approaching the end of this conversation, what would be the best way to find out more about Mindfuel as well as yourself and connect perhaps with you?
So of course you can always write me a message. I'm happy about any conversation about this exciting topic. Just write me on LinkedIn. You can go on our website, mindfuel.ai, also see what else we are doing, what we're up to, download our playbooks or frameworks there to see how you could do it on your end. And yes, just let me know anytime if there's something on your mind.
Very good. And I also invite anyone who is watching the session afterwards to leave a question below. I'm sure that Robert, you will be very happy to answer, even if we're not live.
Anytime, yeah.
Very good. Well, before we end this, I'd like to ask you: do you have any remark, any last words you would like to leave our audience with?
So I would recommend you to always question the value that you are creating in whatever technical initiative you're in, and asking, does this really help the business and how does it help? And if the answer is yes, then I think everyone did a good job in breaking that down from the requirement to what you're doing. If it's not yet clear, try to find it out, because it will help your organization a lot to use the technology in the right way.
100%, and it helps so much also for when you need to bring this to the business, because you've already answered the only thing they care about, isn't it? What's in it for me, sort of,
Yes.
as an organization.
100%, yeah.
Very good. Then, Robert, I want to thank you today for sharing this with us, giving us some, positive stories that come from AI adoption. And I also want to thank everyone who was with us today, asked questions, made this conversation more interesting. And of course, I wish everyone a great continuation of the day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.